Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going exploring. Well, actually, it's not really exploring. It's more like unpacking a really wild idea.
Okay.
And this one comes from Henry Newcomer.
Ah, newcomer.
Yeah, he's been making some waves in philosophy lately.
Yeah, he's got some really fascinating thoughts.
And the one we're looking at today is, it's almost like he thinks the universe is like a
Yeah.
giant set of those Russian nesting dolls.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, layers on top of layers.
Layers within layers.
Exactly.
I like it.
So Newcomer's big idea is that, well, he says everything, literally everything is what he calls a wrapper.
Wrapper.
Yeah, it's like a level of organization or
Yeah.
a container for something else.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. It's also contained within something bigger.
Okay, so it's a wrapper, but it's also being wrapped.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how this fits with the whole nesting doll thing.
Right.
But what kinds of things are we talking about here when we say everything?
Well, you really means everything.
Yeah. Like physical objects, concepts.
Both.
Okay, give me an example.
So take your skin, for example.
My skin.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay.
It's like a wrapper for your organs, right?
I guess so.
And then your organs are wrappers for cells.
Uh-huh.
And the cells are wrappers for molecules.
And so on and so forth. It's
Yeah.
like layers all the way down.
But Newcomer takes it a step further.
How so?
He says this isn't just about physical stuff.
Oh, interesting.
He argues that ideas work the same way.
Ideas.
Yeah, like even the idea for this podcast episode.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's built on a bunch of other ideas, right?
You mean like the concept of exploring complex topics?
Yeah, and like the whole format of a deep dive.
And all the ideas we've talked about on previous episodes.
Exactly.
So this episode is kind of like a wrapper for all those previous ideas.
And it's also wrapped within the larger context of our whole podcast.
And the even larger context of like the history of podcasts and ideas.
Wow, yeah.
It's like a never-ending chain of interconnectedness.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about Newcomer's idea.
I'm starting to see it.
It makes you realize that every new idea is influenced by, well, by everything that came before it.
Like we're building on a foundation of previous thoughts.
And knowledge and cultural trends.
It's like this giant web of concepts.
Yeah, and all these layers are constantly interacting and influencing each other.
I like that.
Kind of like ripples in a pond.
They're pulled.
Yeah, like every new ripple, it interacts with the ones that came before. And they all create this complex pattern together.
That's a great analogy.
So are you telling me that every thought I have, it's like part of this giant cosmic web of ideas?
That's kind of the idea, yeah.
That's pretty wild when you think about it.
Definitely mind-bending.
But it also makes me think about, well, all the things we see as random or chaotic.
Good point.
Like, is it truly random? Or are we just missing some of the layers?
That's a really interesting question.
Take, for example, trying to predict the movement of planets in a multi-star system.
Oh, yeah. The three-body problem.
Exactly. It seems so chaotic.
Totally unpredictable.
But what if? What if there's actually some kind of underlying order, some structure we just haven't grasped yet?
You're suggesting that what we perceive as chaos might just be a reflection of systems that have so many layers that they're just beyond our comprehension.
Exactly.
It's like we're looking at, imagine a Russian nesting doll, but with like millions of dolls inside.
Oh, yeah.
And we can only see the outer few.
So the inner workings would just look like a jumbled mess.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean there's no order to it.
It just means we haven't uncovered it yet.
This is blowing my mind.
It's a lot to take in, I know.
So basically what you're saying is we're all contributing to this giant evolving network of layers with every little thing we do.
Every action, every thought.
Yeah, even if we don't fully understand all the ripple effects.
Precisely.
It's kind of humbling, isn't it?
It really puts things into perspective.
It's like realizing that even the smallest thing can have, well, it can have huge consequences.
It makes you think twice about your choices, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like every idea you put out into the world is like throwing a pebble into a pond.
And those ripples can spread out and touch countless other layers.
Yeah, we may never even know the full extent of it.
But it's happening nonetheless.
Wow, well, this has been an incredible deep dive.
I am glad you enjoyed it.
It really has. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening out there, I hope this has left you with a lot to ponder. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Until then, keep exploring.
And remember, you're part of something much bigger than you might realize.